My name's Kenneth, but everyone calls me Ken. I'm 60 years old, and I've never really been the center of attention type. I'm more the show up early, leave late, clean the dishes no one notices kind of guy. For most of my life, that's how I operated with my family, my friends, my job. I worked in logistics for 34 years before retiring last fall. Not glamorous, but I was good at it. Solid, reliable, predictable. The guy who'd pick you up from the airport even if your flight landed at 2 a.m., no questions asked. So when my 60th birthday started inching closer, I wasn't expecting fireworks. But my family made a bigger deal of it than usual, teasing me for weeks. My daughter Lily would grin and say, "You'll never forget this one, Dad." And my son Josh, always the loud one, kept nudging me with lines like, "Big 6-0 coming up. You ready to cry like a baby when you see what we planned?" I figured they were planning a dinner, maybe even a surprise party. My wife, Dana, would just smile whenever I asked and say, "It's all coming together." She had that twinkle in her eye she used to have when we were still dating, back when surprises meant weekend getaways and not forgetting to put the bins out. Now, a bit of context. I've always been the planner in the family. Every holiday, every birthday, every vacation itinerary down to the minute, I made it all happen. Cabo had been on my mind for a while. It wasn't a bucket list trip or anything, but Dana always talked about the ocean there, the cliffs, the colors. I had spreadsheets of resorts, maps of scenic drives, even a folder on my desktop called Cabo 60. For months, I chipped away at the planning, budgeting, booking excursions, cross-referencing the weather. I never explicitly said, "This is for my birthday," but it was implied. Everyone knew. They'd glance at my laptop and say, "Ooh, is that the trip?" And I'd nod and go, "Yup, gonna be the big one." So when my birthday finally arrived, early April, cold snap still lingering, I was genuinely excited. I hadn't felt like that in a while. I put on a new shirt Dana bought me, one of those linen button-downs she said made me look like retired George Clooney, and waited downstairs with my coffee, expecting something. Balloons? A pancake breakfast? At the very least, my family bursting through the door yelling surprise. But no one came. The house was quiet. Too quiet. I wandered around thinking maybe they were hiding, or maybe I'd walked into my own surprise party too early. But the lights were off. The dining table was bare. There was no note on the fridge, no "back soon" scribbled on a napkin. Just my phone buzzing with a single calendar alert. Flight to Cabo, 3 p.m. I remember blinking at it for a second, confused. Then it hit me like a slap. That wasn't a reminder. That was a receipt. I opened the shared family calendar, something I'd insisted we use years ago when Lily kept forgetting dentist appointments. And sure enough, there it was. Dana, Lily, and Josh all listed on the same 3 p.m. flight. Same airline. Same day. Same destination. I sat down. I didn't feel angry at first, just this hollow sort of confusion. I checked every corner of the house, still half convinced this was some elaborate joke. Maybe they were at the bakery picking up a cake. Maybe they were waiting at the airport to surprise me with a blindfold and a boarding pass. Then I opened Instagram. Josh had posted a story. I tapped it, heart racing. It was a shaky video of him on a resort balcony, shirtless, drink in hand, yelling, "Best family vacation ever." Then, in this part I'll never forget, he turned the camera on Lily and Dana, clinking glasses, both smiling. Dana shouted over the wind, "Cabo 2024, baby." And Josh added a caption, minus the mood killer. I stared at that for what felt like a lifetime. Mood killer. I didn't need to ask who that was meant for. I didn't comment. I didn't text. I just sat with it. I remember getting up to pour myself another coffee, hands trembling a little, but otherwise numb. That kind of silence, when it's not just around you, but inside you, it's almost louder than yelling. I thought back to every dinner I'd paid for, every holiday I organized, every early morning airport run, every time I'd stepped aside so someone else could feel special. And now, on my 60th birthday, the people I'd given everything to, planned everything for, had taken the trip I built from scratch and left me behind like I was baggage that exceeded the weight limit. The first day, I didn't answer any calls. Not that there were many. My sister sent a text, "Happy birthday, big bro." I just replied, "Thanks." She didn't know. None of my extended family did. That evening, I ate leftover chili and watched a documentary about orcas. I couldn't bring myself to turn on the porch light. Day 2, I got a text from Dana. "Signal's bad here, but hope you're doing something fun today." I read it twice. Fun? That was the word she chose? That same day, I got a notification that Lily tagged me in a Facebook memory from a family trip to Yosemite 5 years ago. The caption read, "Wish you were here." I didn't react. Just let it fade. Day 3. Things shifted. It started with a missed call from Dana. Then another. Then a string of messages, first polite, then urgent. "Hey, can we talk? Please call when you get this. We didn't think you'd be so upset. Please. We need to fix this. Say something." That was the moment something inside me flipped. Not snapped, but flipped, like a switch I didn't even know was there. I stood in the middle of our living room, looking at the dusty decorations from last Christmas that no one ever helped me put away, and felt a strange calm wash over me. They wanted me to say something? I would, but not in the way they expected. And that was when I started planning again. I didn't respond to Dana's messages. Not yet. I needed time not just to cool off, but to think. That calm I felt on day 3? It wasn't peace. It was clarity. There's a difference. I wasn't interested in yelling or crying or playing the part of the wounded husband. That's what they expected. Some emotional outburst they could label as overreacting. I've seen how they work. They push the boundaries, call it a joke, and if you react, suddenly you're the problem. But I had something better than an outburst. I had time, patience, and access to all the systems in our lives they never bothered learning because Kin always handles it. Over the years, I'd become the quiet engine behind our household. Finances, utilities, subscriptions, travel points, family accounts, cloud storage, even our smart home system. It was all in my name. Not to be controlling, just convenient. Dana always said she hated the tech stuff, and the kids, well, they barely noticed as long as Wi-Fi and Netflix worked. That night, I logged into our family cloud drive and opened the Cabo 60 folder. My itinerary, hotel confirmations, dinner reservations, excursion receipts, they were all there. I'd even mapped out the exact day and time for a private sailing trip along the coast, complete with snorkeling and a catered lunch. It was scheduled for tomorrow, 11 a.m. They'd be on that boat, clinking drinks, laughing, probably telling some warped version of the story, "Oh, Dad didn't really want to come," or "He would have just complained about his niece." I could practically hear Josh mimicking me with that stupid voice he always used when he was trying to be funny. "I hope they've got orthopedic seating on this dinghy." They had no idea that every one of those reservations was under my name. I made a few quiet changes. First, I canceled the catamaran. Not just canceled it. I called the operator directly and asked for a refund under the reason, "Event no longer includes honored guest." She laughed politely and said she understood. Then, I logged into our joint travel card, still technically in my name, and paused it. Nothing dramatic. Just a quick freeze. Enough to make their next round of beachside cocktails bounce. The resort? Also booked with points from my account. All I had to do was transfer them out. Done in 30 seconds. I wasn't even angry. It felt like filing paperwork. That night, I moved into the guest bedroom. I didn't cry. I didn't drink. I just laid there, thinking. I thought about my father, how he used to say, being needed isn't the same as being appreciated. I used to brush that off, thinking he was just bitter. But now I got it. It's easy to feel important when people depend on you, but the second you stop offering, that's when you learn how invisible you really are. The next morning, day 4, I brewed my coffee and turned on the security cam notifications. Dana had asked me months ago to install smart cameras at the house. Not for security, she said, but to keep an eye on deliveries. She hated missing her packages. At 7:14 a.m., the front camera lit up. A black SUV pulled into the driveway. Josh got out first. His face looked strained. Then Lily, dragging a roller bag. Dana came out last. She looked tired. No makeup, hair in a messy bun, sunglasses even though the sky was gray. They stood at the door for a while, checking their phones. Josh rang the bell. Then again. I didn't answer. Instead, I watched from the upstairs hallway, behind the curtain, completely silent. They stood there for 5 more minutes. Then Dana tried the door. It was locked. She turned to the others, saying something I couldn't hear, and pulled out her phone. My phone lit up instantly. "We're home. Please, Ken. Just talk to us." Then, "I didn't think it would hurt you this much. It was supposed to be fun. You were never clear you wanted to come." I put the phone face down. They eventually left. I heard Josh mutter something as they walked off, probably another jab. I went downstairs after they were gone and saw a small white box left on the welcome mat. I brought it inside and opened it. A cupcake. Vanilla, with blue frosting and a single candle. No card. Just a sticky note that said, "Let's not make this a big deal. Please." That's when the first crack hit. Not in my voice, not in my resolve, just in the illusion I'd been living under for years. The illusion that I mattered to them in the way they mattered to me. That if I ever truly needed to be seen, they'd do it. I placed the cupcake in the trash, took a breath, then opened my laptop again. I didn't send them a message. I didn't leave a note. Instead, I opened the family drive, went to the shared memories folder, and quietly deleted every photo I'd ever uploaded of our vacations, holidays, birthdays, everything I had taken. They were all backed up elsewhere. I'm not cruel, but they didn't deserve to access the life they edited me out of. Then I did something even quieter. I changed my will. You see, I never bothered to update it since Lily graduated. It still had them listed as co-beneficiaries. All three. I sat with that for a while. Thought about Dana's smile when she told me it's all coming together. How rehearsed it felt now. How hollow. I called my lawyer. Asked for a private meeting. And for the first time in decades, I didn't leave them in the loop. That afternoon, Dana came home alone. She knocked on my bedroom door. Her voice was softer than I'd heard in years. "Ken? Please, can we talk? Please. I know I messed up." I stayed silent. She lingered for a moment. I heard her sniff once. Then her footsteps trailed off. I sat on the edge of the bed, hands folded, thinking of all the birthdays I'd spent making everyone else feel special. All the sacrifices. The times I stayed up late baking for school events. The weekends I gave up to drive them to dance practice, soccer games, airport pickups. Not for thanks. Just for love. Now, for once, I wanted to see what happened when I gave. Nothing. The phone buzzed again that night. A new message from Josh. "Dad, you're being petty. It was just a trip. You're seriously ruining the family over a misunderstanding." I didn't reply. But in my head, I finally said something I'd been holding back for years. "No, Josh. You ruined it." I just finally noticed. The next morning, I woke up earlier than usual. The house was still dark and quiet, the way it used to be when the kids were little and I'd sneak out to shovel snow or start breakfast before anyone else was up. But this time, I wasn't doing anything for anyone. I sat in the kitchen, hands wrapped around a hot mug, letting the silence settle in. It didn't feel empty anymore. It felt earned. By 9 a.m., Dana tried again. She knocked, lightly, this time, and spoke through the door. "I've made coffee," she said. "There's banana bread. You can have the first piece." She waited. I didn't answer. Eventually, I heard her walk away. She tried again at lunch. This time, she came with the soft, apologetic tone I'd heard her use on neighbors or friends she wanted something from. "Ken, I'm so sorry. Truly. I don't know what I was thinking. I just wanted to give the kids a break. That's all. I never meant to hurt you. Can we talk? Please." I kept quiet. Not because I wanted to be cruel, but because I wasn't ready. She had said, a break. That was what Cabo was, a break from me. After everything I'd done to make that trip happen, she decided it would be better without me there. And then posted the photos. Smiled for them. Raised a glass. Didn't think once about how that would feel. In the afternoon, I drove out. I didn't say where I was going. Didn't leave a note. I just needed space. I parked by the lake 20 minutes from town, where we used to take the kids to skip stones when they were younger. I sat on the same bench where I taught Lily to tie her shoelaces. That memory hit me hard, her little hands fumbling with the laces, her head tilted just like mine when she was concentrating. I had been the constant. Every scraped knee, every broken bike chain, every canceled trip or sudden bill, I handled it. I was the one they leaned on, silently, fully, without ever really saying thank you. Maybe they thought I'd always be there. Maybe they'd grown so used to me handling everything that they forgot I had feelings, too. That I could be hurt. And what gnawed at me the most wasn't even the betrayal. It was the realization that none of them thought I would react. They had gone to Cabo, fully confident that I'd either shrug it off or, worse, blame myself. And the moment I didn't play along, the moment I stopped feeding the illusion, they panicked. On the way home, I stopped by my sister's place. Emma and I hadn't always been close, but she had an honesty about her I respected. I told her what happened, not in detail, just the broad strokes. She stared at me, stunned. "Wait, they actually left without you?" she asked, her face hardening. "On the trip you planned?" I nodded. "That's insane, Ken. That's not just inconsiderate, that's vicious." We talked for hours. For the first time in years, I felt like someone was actually hearing me. Emma didn't try to defend them. She didn't say, "I'm sure they didn't mean it." She just shook her head and said, "They took you for granted. And they finally pushed too far." When I got home, it was past 10. The house was dark again. I walked in, dropped my keys, and noticed something new on the dining table. A handwritten letter. The envelope read, "Please read this, Ken." I didn't touch it. Instead, I went upstairs, took a shower, and lay down. I needed more than apologies. I needed a shift, something real. Not words, not tears, not banana bread and forced coffee chats. I needed them to understand who I was, what I'd given, and what they lost when they left me standing in an empty house on my 60th birthday, holding nothing but a calendar notification and a memory of a vacation I was never invited on. The next day, I opened the letter. It was 6 pages long. Dana had poured it all out, her guilt, her confusion, her justifications. She admitted she thought I wouldn't mind staying behind, that I'd need the rest, that I'd seem tired. She wrote about how the kids just wanted one last family trip before they started moving away, and she thought, maybe it'd be easier if it were just the 3 of us. Easier. That word stayed with me. She said I'd been so quiet lately, and she interpreted that as detachment, not burnout. She wrote that the kids still loved me, that they just didn't know how to show it, that they assumed I was okay with taking a backseat because that's the role I'd always played. She ended it with, "You've always been the strong one, Ken. But maybe we forgot that strength still feels pain." It was the first honest thing in 6 pages. Still, I didn't respond. Not yet. Because even though they were finally realizing something was broken, they hadn't seen the full weight of what they'd shattered. They thought they were dealing with a hurt feeling, a bruised ego. What they hadn't realized yet was that they were facing something far more dangerous. A man who had spent his life building a home, finally starting to ask if it was time to leave it. I waited another 3 days. No response from me. No calls. No texts. I didn't touch the letter again. I let it sit on the kitchen counter like an unpaid bill, evidence of something overdue. Dana and the kids tiptoed around the house like it was a museum filled with fragile things. Josh had gone back to his apartment by then, but Lily stayed around, cooking small meals, offering me tea, trying to make herself useful. I didn't ignore her out of cruelty. I just wasn't ready to pretend. It wasn't about punishment. It was about making space for them to feel what I had felt, abandoned, forgotten, misjudged. On the 4th morning, Dana finally broke. I was sitting on the back porch drinking coffee, wrapped in a flannel even though the sun was out. She stepped outside, arms folded, eyes tired. "I can't take the silence anymore," she said quietly. "Ken, I know you're hurt. I know we messed up. But please, please talk to me." I didn't look at her right away. I just sipped my coffee, letting the warmth settle. Then I said, calmly, "You didn't just forget my birthday. You edited me out of my own life, out of my own family." She stepped closer. "It was one mistake." "No," I said, finally looking up. "It was the clearest mistake. But it wasn't the first. And I don't think it was accidental." She blinked, stunned. "What does that mean?" "It means," I said slowly, "that somewhere along the way, you all decided that I was just the guy who provides. Not the one who needs love, or attention, or even a seat at the table. Just the planner, the problem solver, the guy behind the camera." Dana opened her mouth, then closed it. She sat down on the step beside me. "I didn't mean for it to get like this." I believed her, but that didn't make it okay. Later that night, we had a full conversation. The kind we hadn't had in years. Raw. Long. No one stormed out. No one raised their voice. But the damage was laid out in the open like broken glass. I told her everything. The exhaustion. The feeling of being erased. The way they'd made a joke out of me being the mood killer when I'd spent months building that trip like it was the last thing I had left to offer. She cried. Not performatively. Not to win me back. Just quietly. I saw her throat catch when I said, "It's not that you left me out. It's that you never thought twice about it." The next weekend, I met with Josh and Lily together. They showed up late. Of course, some things don't change. They looked nervous, like I was going to disown them on the spot. "I owe you a real apology," Josh started, avoiding eye contact. "That post, it was a joke. A bad one. I didn't mean it like that." I nodded. "But you posted it anyway, and then toasted on a boat I planned." He flinched. Lily reached for my hand. "I didn't know what you were going through," she said. "But now I see it. You always gave. We just got used to it." "I'm so sorry, Dad." It wasn't a speech. It wasn't groveling. But it was something. "I don't want to be needed anymore," I told them. "I want to be wanted." They both nodded. Then I said the part I'd been holding in. I'm selling the house. Their faces froze. Wait, what? Lily said. I've been thinking about it for a while, I replied. This place, it's full of memories. But lately, it feels like a museum where I'm the only exhibit no one visits. I want something smaller. Somewhere new. Just for me. Josh looked down. But this is the house we grew up in. No, I said gently. This is the house I built. You just stopped seeing it. They didn't argue. I think they knew there was no convincing me this time. That was the difference. For the first time in years, they understood. My silence hadn't been passivity. It had been restraint. Within a month, I listed the house. Dana and I decided we needed time apart. She didn't beg me to stay. Maybe because she finally understood that the distance had started long before Cabo. I found a cottage by a lake. Nothing fancy. Just quiet. A porch that catches the sunset. A place where no one expects me to fix anything except the occasional loose floorboard. Lily visits sometimes. Brings me books, bakes bread, sits on the porch with me. She doesn't try to fix it. She just shows up. That means more than she knows. Josh hasn't come by yet, but he texts. Not long, rambling messages, just simple check-ins. How's the fishing? Watched a game today. Made me think of you. I don't need more than that. Not right now. As for Dana, we still talk. She's taking therapy seriously. She sends me voice memos sometimes, memories from before everything felt transactional. Some are hard to hear. Some make me smile. I don't know where we'll end up, but I know we both needed the silence to remember the sound of each other's voice. And me? I turned 60 sitting in an empty house. But in that silence, I found something I never knew I was missing: my own voice. My own space. My own worth. Now, every morning, I wake up to the sun bleeding over the lake. I brew my own coffee. No calendar reminders. No smart home alarms. Just me. The man who was once the engine behind a family that forgot how to look back, now finally learning to move forward on his own terms. And that, strangely enough, feels like the best gift I've ever given myself.